Samir Brahmachari, you are a scientist and founder director of the Institute of Genomic and Integrative Biology. Huh? You are Indian, and you managed to make a map of genomic in India. And maybe you want to talk about that, right?
Yes.
And you have a slide, okay?
With the experience of mapping the Indian genome variation, 55 population, and then initiating genome sequencing of 95 years plus old people as well-being genomics, because these people being able to live through, when the life expectancy was 30, 35, how did they live 95 years? When the Western world had already 60 years of life expectancy. And lastly, to crowdsource, to map mycobacterium genome to create an open source platform. So I am like to take the advantage of this question mark, a benefit and access for all. So if you look at the slide, I said the benefit and access for all will only be possible. It is available, but it will be affordable. Availability needs strong IP, increases availability, whereas strong IP decreases affordability. So discovery to be cheaper, need to be open innovation and shared wisdom. The example I give, left side, the genome sequencing has decreased from $300 million to $1,000. When it was $300 million, it was available, but not accessible. Whereas the drug discovery has gone from $1 million to $1 billion. And therefore, we need to look at it and make sure there's a difference. The way it will be, to make, I say, P5 medicine, because I said you will also get into precision medicine. That's what Obama has announced. And you can see we need to crowdsource. And the example I give you by open source drug discovery on tuberculosis. We need to use drugs for substrate for population specific to avoid adverse drug reaction, which are already FDA approved drugs. And I have already shown there are examples of metformin, auranofin for diabetes, for arthritis are being worked out. You also have a participatory and crowdsourced patient wisdom for epidemiology. Indian Ayurveda is a great example. It's 4,000 years old. It was all crowdsourced knowledge base and wisdom. The traditional base, including the Chinese medicine, and participatory clinical trial for modern medicine. Wellness initiative, as I'm sure Lee mentioned, big data analytics, sequencing of centenarians, Fitbit, which most of us carry, and devices, and I'm sure IBM Watson Health. And next session, I'm sure IBM will talk about it. I don't want to take this out. I just want to take you a medicine system which is holistic, participatory, however, was not precision. It was preventive and predictive and followed all the principles. So as a Director General, I supported the largest Indian system of looking at this, how to merge genomics with, it has also had the predictive power, it has a preventive power, and very large portions of people, and is also now affordable. So the question is, this is the future. How do we learn from our wisdom and get back? And today we have a TKDL, Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, of 34 million pages of documented text of Sanskrit in 5 languages for all IPOs to look into it. So that this is a knowledge, open source, available. How do we use this knowledge to create accessible and affordable to benefit for all?
You have an answer for that?
So that's what I said, that this is the solution. We need 3 principles. We need to go to open source. Knowledge of human genome sequencing was open. Linux was open. And that's why we have come where we are. We need to have this sort of knowledge base of wisdom, crowdsourced wisdom. So when patients participate, we can reduce the clinical trial cost. And that is how we should be able to reduce cost and make it affordable.
Is the Indian model, is it transferable to other countries, and how can this be achieved?
Must remember, half the world population, China and India, practiced old traditional medicine for several thousand years. So how do we use this wisdom to create personal medicine? Remember, every Ayurvedic preparation is personalized. Today I'm looking at about 6 million patient data record and who are practicing Ayurvedic medicine. An average cost is about 20 euro per person per month, which is affordable. And there is a huge data. So big data analytics with all our personal data information, because I believe the future lies in finally the food and lifestyle will decide our future. The only way we can make entire thing affordable, if we can come back and understand how is our metabolism inside, how do we change the food, how do we adjust and personalize food. Actually, if you look at, all of us have a personalized food. We decide this eating, my bowel movement is okay, this eating, my blood pressure goes up, this eating, my blood sugar goes down. So therefore, tomorrow's medicine is not going to be a chemical entity. Tomorrow's medicine will be within the ecosystem. Because remember, all plants and medicinal plants and all within the ecosystem. And therefore, the future, I believe, is to come up with more plant-based medicines. The drugs are not going to be single-point targets. It has to be multi-target, so they'll be pathway-based. So therefore, already we know we have a combination therapy required. So the whole change scenario has changed. And that was exactly the principles of holistic medicine, as Lee mentioned about system medicine. So one way is looking at system-level understanding. Understanding human at a system level will take, I don't know how many years, 30 years maybe, by the time I won't be here. But today's system level, we can understand bacteria, informations.
But the key to develop it, what is it?
See, the develop is that, how do we mine the literature? And that's why I said Watson will help many, many things, IBM Watson. But I believe what we have done, we got 27,000 published papers read by students and to annotate the mycobacterium genome and build up a complete system-level understanding. From there to identify targets. And from that target's identification, we could see that existing FDA-approved drugs can help to reposition some of the possibility. So these are the new ways one has to look at, and I think the future lies there. So last point I want to just mention that if we want accessibility to all, which I think the philosophy of France, because otherwise Pasteur would have been here. And also John Dosset from this part of the world gave the world first data free. With his personal money, that was developed. You know, when I just became member of Hugo in 1990, I met him in 92, and I was delighted. Sefipra, right? How is it that we cannot make knowledge and wisdom shareable? If we can, I'm sure my pharma guys will kill me after my sentence, but I'm saying it is not counterproductive. By making close, we have only increased the cost of development. By making it participatory, in a large scale, will eventually benefit people. And the cost will come down. And when more people use, just like cell phone, today 800 million Indians use cell phone. By making the price down, actual profit has gone up. So we have to learn something from Facebook, social media, and see how to make profit while giving it free, as you are tweeting in this meeting. Yes. Nobody is paying to tweet.
So, yes, that's right. We can have some tweet reaction of what you're saying, Samir. But maybe Leroy Hood has a reaction about the cost that Samir Brahmachari is saying.
Well, I did make the point that I think there are several reasons that this new type of personalized medicine, and let me say, it is a new type of personalized medicine. It isn't what doctors have ever done before, and it's not traditional Chinese medicine. This is getting a detailed picture of what you are, and from that, extracting how we can optimize your performance as a human being. So I'd say that that's fundamentally different. So where are the costs going to come from? This is going to push the digitization of medicine in a way we've never seen before, and that means the cost of assays, which are the major cost of this approach, are going to come down dramatically. My guess is in 5 to 8 years, the cost of a genome won't be $1,200 or $1,300, which it is today. It'll be $100 or less. It'll be a common, ordinary assay. And that'll be true of all the other assays as well. So in a relatively short period of time, cost isn't going to be the big issue facing bringing this kind of vision to the developing world. Rather, it's going to be execution. I would say a second place that we're going to save enormous money is, suppose that we follow all of you and can immediately identify transitions to whatever disease you're predisposed to first. And suppose we can flip it back immediately. Again, you save all of that downstream cost in being sick, often chronically for the rest of your life, if we can do that. And we have the approaches to be able to do this kind of thing. And I think the third thing that's really key is the world globally loses $1 trillion or more a year due to absenteeism and sickness and things like that. I think that can be fundamentally changed in major ways, creating enormous new resources that can be used in lots of different ways. So I just want to make the point that the personalized medicine I'm talking about isn't what doctors did before. It isn't what the Chinese and Indians did before. It is assessing the very essence of what you are and using that to optimize wellness, avoid disease for you.
So a multidisciplinary approach, yes.
I agree with you in some sense, Lee, but I just wanted to tell all this knowledge in Ayurveda is all digitized now. It was all in Sanskrit, 150 years. Mm-hmm. Everything that we are talking about, personalized medicine, being a genomic scientist, I'm amazed when I read those translations now with my colleagues who are expert in Sanskrit, that every one of them, they were thought of. I couldn't believe it, that they were doing such large crowdsourcing, so great analytics. How could they? Only differences, as I said, they had a probabilistic predictive power. Today, whether you'll have a breast cancer or not on the basis of gene is a probabilistic power. They had a preventive therapy integrated with what you call cleansing, panchakarma. I was surprised to see that it all talked about removing certain parts of the negative elements from the body. Today we talk about microbiome. We say we need to change the microbiome of the stomach. So that's sitting in the gut. So you need to clean and reposition. So what I meant is this knowledge was hidden. 154,000 years knowledge practiced by only people who can read those obscure language. Today, my organization, CSIR, has digitized this at 34 million pages in 5 languages. And access has been given to Intellectual Property Office as a prior art. And you will be surprised. 300 patent applications coming from various companies gets knocked off because of this. Because actually, huge amount of knowledge exists. And that knowledge is presently, with all chemical reactions and assays and blah, 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 we are able to achieve the same information. So my argument is, why we have a barrier? Why not your personal well-being, as you said very correctly? It is not going to increase the price if we can reduce the clinical trial cost by doing better discovery. So we have to make better discovery for the knowledge base. We have to reduce clinical trial and epidemiological costs by crowdsourcing. So therefore, we should, in principle, personalized medicine could reach. But I still remind you, HIV drug, when it was $10,000, $12,000 per patient, it did not reach Africa. Until Indian generic companies, Cipla, Hamid, and the scientists of CSIR, they brought the cost down to $80. Today, every African, sub-Saharan African, or parts of poor India could afford that medicine. So therefore, affordability is a key issue. How do you make affordability? Then only access comes. I do not agree the genome sequencing will go down, because my argument is the cost of genome sequencing is not the chemical. Cost of drug is not the chemical. The drug cost is the analysis. And the analysis will need manpower with supercomputers, lots of information. And just like PC price doesn't go down below $1,000, just stick. They will give more features, more interpretation, better analysis, but price will stick around that region, which is the way world has decided. However, diagnostics can be done up to $100. It will not go below a scan, because you send somebody for scan, and the market for the scanning will go if you make genome sequencing too cheap. So therefore, I believe this is where it's stuck. But however, it needs certain innovations. Genome cost has come down because government put money. I believe for infectious disease, neglected disease, where pharma is not taking forward, it is important that we have a foundation approach. I'm sure Honorable Mayor, Honorable Chairman, and I'm very glad that this is my second time I have come to BioVision. I believe this is the future. We need to have an open source initiative for diseases for which there's not much profit or the people are poor, rather than depending on the pharma.
Samir Brahmachari, thank you.